Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. I want to introduce you to Phocas, and we're going to talk about business intelligence and FP&A together for smarter decisions. Now, the drive for global economic growth is sparking innovation, and established companies are at risk. Their growth journey is often impacted by growing pains, and whilst the focus is mainly on other areas of the business, the finance function is left to get by. Now, research shows that proactively handling these growth pains is essential, as the finance function can make or break the growth and necessary supports to survive in a rapid growth phase. Now, in these growing organizations, the financial processes are often set up at the beginning, but once the business grows, they're rarely prioritized to be revisited and developed. Now, a lack of well-defined steps in key finance functions can cause operational chaos and major setbacks to the business as a whole. And according to research conducted by Dun & Bradstreet, approximately 90% of small business failures are caused by poor cash flow management when the company is growing, so are its costs, and the costs tend to step up, whereas the revenue, as you know, is on a slope function. Now, whilst the business owners might see the symptoms to the problems, the importance is to look at the root cause. In other words, business owners and CFOs need to understand proactively what is causing cash flow issues. So as I say, I want to introduce you to Phocas, and we are a business intelligence and FP&A platform, pulling together the best of breed solutions and technology to allow you to address the problems within your business as they currently stand. And whether it's looking at operational data analysis with our analytics module, perhaps you're looking at creating multiple P&Ls or cash flow forecasts and balances in our financial statements, and then perhaps you want better integrity of reporting of your budgets and forecasting and reforecasting. Or you might have complex rebate requirement needs. Whether it's going in or going out, we can help you manage all of those. And with our suite of products, we can address all the problems across your organization by choosing all of them, or we can really narrow down and choose, for example, our financial statements and budget and forecasting to help you with those financial reporting requirements. Well, who are we? Phocas, founded around 25 years ago now. We've got 2,800 customers now using us globally, of which 200 or so are Sage, and those Sage customers range from Sage 50, X3, 200, and Intact. We're really proud of our customer retention rate, currently at 97%. Working with our customers and ensuring that they're getting the best return on investment is something we are very proud of and always keen to achieve. How do we connect in? So as I said, it doesn't matter on what variants of Sage you're on, or equally what data is coming from other sources. We can then pull it through and display it within Phocas and make it much easier for everyone across the business to have confidence and insights into the data. Now, is your business spending too much time collecting data and not enough on strategy? Well, you're not alone. There are only so many hours in the day, and you know better than anyone else how time-consuming, error-prone, and cumbersome manual data entries can be. Now, while the roles that your team play are critical, not all the work they're doing adds the same value. And according to McKinsey's reducing data costs without jeopardizing growth, up to 40% of daily business reports add little to no value at all. And if organizations provide employees with self-service business intelligence capabilities, it will be easier for employees to track KPIs, and these wasted efforts could be dramatically reduced. A finance effective benchmark report from 2017 conducted by PwC found that the top performers operate at lower costs, not by reducing the service levels, but by standardizing and simplifying their core processes and systems. And that enables them then to free up the resources to focus on business partnering. And how true is that of your business? Many companies are struggling with the finance department being purely a service provider, and instead of truly being a business partner. And the finance function mainly provides the basic accounting and reporting services. They don't have time to focus on those value-added creating activities that they should be doing, such as analyzing the data and guiding the business in their critical decisions and directions. Now, to free up time and achieve greater internal data visibility, the basic core processes need to be lean and effective. And when the finance department spends more time analyzing the data rather than gathering it, they truly can become that business partner that's needed. Now, it's important to understand what causes the problem and not just the symptoms. And the finance function is the compass of the organization that monitors and controls its financial performance. Now, in order not to remain as a value-added service provider, the finance function needs to step forward from the back office to the front line. And if the finance function is kept in a more reactive back seat role, there is a risk that the existing financial processes can't support making business decisions, and therefore won't support the growth journey. Unfortunately, time doesn't stop. Data keeps creeping, and forecasts show that data is due to grow by a whopping 61% by next year alone. And it makes data management issues even worse over the course of the next few years. And although this occurred before COVID period, according to an FSN survey, the Future of Financial Reporting, Budget and Forecasting 2030, issued back in March 2022, 59% of organizations did very little to improve their budgeting, forecasting, and planning processes during the period between 2019 and 2021, when it was probably at its most critical level. However, transformation initiatives are recovering post-COVID, and as many as 33% of the survey respondents were looking to pick up where they'd left and are making significant changes to their budget and forecasting processes, with the remaining 41 seeing a delay of only 1 or 2 years before they moved in that direction as well. So you're all here today because you use Sage and one of the variants, and more than likely Sage 200. And as you know, there are certain limitations within Sage when it comes to reporting. Perhaps it's the poor visibility of your business data. Perhaps you're relying heavily on exporting data into spreadsheets, pulling that out, manipulating it, perhaps corrupting it, and then having to do it all over again. Maybe there are frustrations around the static and fixed reporting and dashboards and the inability to be able to drill down, the lack of the ability to be able to have multiple P&Ls within your system. And then lastly, access is limited to selected gatekeepers. So whilst there is great value with giving access to a lot of people across the business, perhaps at the moment within Sage, you've only got a few within the finance function, where in fact it'd be better to expand that out. But of course, there's always the risk in giving them access to that underlying data source, which is where Phocas comes in. And how do we achieve that? Well, we take your data, we pull it all out of the underlying system. And as I said, it could be Sage 200 intact or one of the many other data sources that we've connected to previously. We then go through a process of sorting. We identify what we're looking to achieve in terms of those reporting requirements, and then put them into different buckets and areas to make that really simple and easy to do. And that's part of that arrangement process. We then present it visually. There's nothing better than having a lovely graph that shows you exactly what you're looking to achieve in terms of that information, and then the ability to be able to drill down. But that can all be explained with that story. And the dashboard creation is something we want to help all of our customers enhance as part of that process as they take it on. The ability then to free your finance team and give everyone the independence and confidence to analyze the data themselves and gain actionable insights and real-time insights is really key. And that's really been seen with the way that the finance operation has moved. So traditionally, it started out with corporate management, passing information down and asking for information to be brought up, down to the line of business and business heads and department heads, until we get to the stage where version 2, 3, or even number 42 of the budget's published. And that's then sent back up to the corporate management level. And throughout that, that's inherently error prone. There is the possibility of risks associated with using Excel, data being shared with parties that you don't necessarily want to have insight into it. Or perhaps there's just a lack of management of that process. Whereas what we want to do is make it cohesive, bring everyone into the circle and share data in a simple and easy way so that we can ensure that the resulting outcome is positive for the end users. And as I mentioned, we're made up of 4 different products that we're talking about today. In Phocas Analytics, we're looking to make it really fast and easy for you to be able to access that information, analyze the source of data that's been pulled through, and make insights and decisions that are based on the data that you're being presented with. Clearly showcase those back to other people with the creation of custom dashboards and graphs and charts, and make it really simple and easy then to collaborate across your business. We also now have been joined by our Phocas AI, which turbocharges the way that you use those analytics. And when you need an answer, you no longer have to drill down or click through into the underlying data sources. You can ask our Phocas AI engine. Type in a quick question and get an instant answer about customers, products, or sales. Find out who's declining. Find out which sales are lower than on last year. Find out your stock on your warehouse shelves that's been sat there for more than 12 months. There's lots of ways that it can be used, and our customers are really taking advantage of what Phocas AI has to offer. Our Phocas financial statements are human-friendly software that allows finance, sales, and operations to stay connected. It allows you to customize and automate those statements, freeing the finance teams from manual number crunching. You get to track the live actuals anytime and securely drill down into the financials down to transaction level without corrupting the underlying data. It's quick, it's easy, and you can create visuals that then can be shared across the business. Budget and forecasting is a really easy and simple way to address the problems associated you've got now with your budgeting. Gone are the days where you have to have multiple versions and multiple spreadsheets being spread around the business, getting lost and corrupted. And now you can do it all through Phocas. And you connect everyone into the single source where everyone can work collaboratively to stay on top of your cash position and conduct the budgeting and forecasting associated. Right, you've heard enough of me for the last 10 minutes. I'm going to pass over to my colleague, Gio, who's going to go through a bit more of a demonstration of our products. I appreciate we've only got 10 more minutes now. We'll do it as quickly as we can. Thank you, Gio.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Daniel. And hello, everybody. Today, we're going to go through a very rapid whistle-stop tour of a couple of Phocas products. Normally on demonstration with clients, this would be an hour session, which would go at a much slower pace. But hey, let's go ahead and jump into it, give you a bit of a sneak peek as to what Phocas can offer. So I'm just going to go ahead and now share my screen from this side. What you are seeing here is Phocas, and I'm going to demonstrate the 4 key challenges that Daniel mentioned. And I've got those just on some notes here. Provides poor visibility of your business data. I'm hearing that day in, day out from Sage clients. Relies on exporting data to spreadsheets. Very manual, very time consuming, very locked down with formulas. Those dashboards are often static, and his access is ultimately limited to those that are able to control those spreadsheets, and data never really flows down to the rest of the team. So let's have a look at what all those look like and how Phocas is able to solve those. Here is an example overview CEO, sales director, sales rep dashboard that we're seeing here. Scrolling on down, bit of an example of some of the typical widgets that we would tend to see here on this current versus previous rolling sales over the last 12 months, looking at invoice, profit, credit numbers. We can load budgets into Phocas, so budgets against customers, against reps, against products, against territories, against categories, so we can then track how we're looking. Should you look at taking on multiple products within the suite, we can overlay commercial data of sales, stock, purchasing alongside financial data to give an overview performance of the business, looking at bringing in P&L there if required. Back to sales, looking at value versus margin, a very typical requirement, as well as kind of getting into some finer details around customer types, reps versus budgets. All these dashboards completely configurable by the end user, completely no code, requires no assistance from either ourselves or Innovate to configure these here. Data can be presented on dashboards and tables, further on down into gauges, widgets, sliders, whatever that may be there at that point. Now, for the sake of time, let's have a quick look at how we can demonstrate that we aren't just static like you would see in Excel spreadsheets. These dashboards are dynamic. If I wanted to have a look how my customers in the UK that are healthcare customers were performing on my lights and lamps product category, I can select those there, focus in on them, and straight away my entire executive overview dashboard has now updated to show me the performance of my business in these areas. Crucially, behind the scenes of these dashboards, we can get to the underlying data that makes them up. Let's go behind the scenes of this sales rep performance year to date, and this opens up the business intelligence grid. This is an additional layer behind the Phocas dashboards, and crucially, this is that access to the data for staff of all levels to get to the insights information that they need. So again, removing gatekeepers, removing locked spreadsheets, or spreadsheets that are only in certain departments of the business. Across the top, the ability to change all the various different parameters. At the moment, I'm in a period mode looking at it month by month. Maybe I want to have a look at it variance by variance, so current versus previous and a variance in between for the last 12 months, 3 months, quarter, financial year, whatever that may be. Yes, okay, it's great to see my sales reps sales value, but maybe margin's important. So let's go ahead and very quickly just drop fields on here. So all the data coming out of Sage 200 is all up in the Phocas cube, so we can very quickly, very rapidly make changes at that point. At any stage, reset the grid back, and we can have a look at where we were right at the start. Playing a bit of a proactive example on how business intelligence can enable the business to go on that growth journey. Looking at a variance top to bottom, Kathleen, 2.1 million in the last 12 months, 1.5 previously, absolutely smashing it. Well done, Kathleen. On the flip side, £1 million variance for Jeremy, 2.2 this year, 3.3 last year. Bit of an issue. Let's go and see what's caused that. We take Jeremy, and here down the left-hand side, we can now slice and dice off any of the Sage dimensions. A good starting point, Jeremy's customers. We can see here his top 3 from the previous have now stopped spending in the current probably lost those customers. They are probably gone, unfortunately. But let's have a look at this customer here. They are down 104 grand, but they are doing something with us still. So how do we get in there and resolve this deficit and make sure they don't end up like these other three above them, completely lost and gone to suit the competitors? Well, let's take Apogee products and let's use the Sage dimension here of product class or group or category to see what's going on. At the moment, they are up on a couple of categories here, but we can see a significant drop in this illuminations category here. We can just keep following our nose through the Sage dimensions into subcategory, highlighting multiple different levels and getting right down to the products if we need to. And straight away, Jeremy can see that these customers were previously buying from here, but have stopped buying from these products in this last 12 months. They've gone elsewhere or they no longer need them. Let's go and do something with them at that point. Now, that's a slightly reactive example. A problem has happened. We've spotted it. We're now going to resolve it. Let's look more proactively at how analytics can help us into the future. We take our product classes as an example here. If my company is selling lights and lamps, it should probably sell the controls that go with it. Let's matrix those off against each other. Let's toggle it over to my customers. Let's make sure that controls is equal to 0. And I've now got a list of customers that buy from category A, lights and lamps, but are not buying from category B. There is some great cross-sell and upsell opportunities. We've done £3.6 million of lights and lamps to customers that have not bought from controls. Great opportunity to pay for Phocas many times over. Let's just toggle it to view it by our sales reps. And as we can see at the top, there you go, Chris, £402,000 worth of sales to customers that have bought lights but not bought controls. Off you go. You can go and have a quick look at your customers. And if you need to, Chris, you can pin this to your dashboard to keep an eye on. That's a very, very sneak peek whip through of Phocas Analytics there. Moving on through, the same dashboards can then start to appear, but now financially focused. So a CFO style dashboard here. If there are multiple entities within inside a group, using that ability to focus and filter becomes very powerful here. Whilst yes, it might be important to have a look at a group dashboard, let's have a look how individual companies are performing, taking all that general ledger data, over and under budget accounts, operating profit, EBITDA by company A, and just reset it, and we've got EBITDA for the entire group there at that point. So very nice and simple to see multiple layers of data across your group and business structure. Behind the scenes of this profit and loss statement that I've got on my dashboard, I'm able to get into the financial statements product here. This is where we take the general ledger data, now present it as financial statements. So again, moving away from static and spreadsheets and moving into dynamic and interactable reports here at this point. Similar to what we saw previously, different date ranges, the ability to really change how these are presented. So no messy formulas or breaking anything. I can take certain columns away. I can bring visual graphics in there, all very nice and simple at that point. At the moment, we're looking at a group P&L. But I can drag any of my different dimensions in from the left-hand side and either break it down by a nested level or more popular on our demonstrations. Let's present it as column groups. Let's turn a couple of these companies off for today's session. And what I've now got is not only a P&L for my entire group totaled here in the first column. To give my little internet a second here, just whilst it cubes it and slices and dices it. I've got my total for the group here. And I've then got company A P&L, company B P&L, company C P&L alongside it with the ability to completely expand out. And I can now start to compare, I don't know, legal fees, consultancy fees, and let's visualize those across all the different companies broken down. Add it on my dashboard, make it part of my month-end board pack. There is no limit as to how many statements you make. These are completely customizable. You can go ahead to your heart's content and make ratio dashboards, ratio KPI P&Ls if needed. We're seeing this becoming more and more popular, where we are taking commercial data and layering it up on top of financial to provide liquidity ratios, efficiency ratios, revenue per customer, headcount is all there as an example. The final piece to show for today's session, I toggled it off just a moment ago, but here in the columns, we then have the ability to bring through a budget field so we can see how we're tracking current versus budget. The budget is driven by the various different streams of data that we can bring in. And these streams can be, should you want them to be, driven from our budgets and forecast module. This is a module whereby we can remove the horrible Excel spreadsheets flying around people's inboxes. We've used this one _ version 5 _ final, and no one really knows what the latest version is, and provide a central place that staff can log in, interact with the budgets, submit the lines that have been assigned to them back to sales directors, back to management teams to then formulate the budget. A bit like Blue Peter, here's one that I made earlier on. This is an FY25 management account budget. Think of this as, here we are, I believe we'll be in November by this point, going ahead. We're in thick budget season now. We're ready for 25 January the 1st. I've got my budget workbook, which is being assigned out to various different people across the business. There are multiple drivers inside of this, tracking things like inflation ratios, sales category performance, which is just loading up here as we see. And then crucially, staff that have had lines assigned to them. Come on, internet, it's thinking. There we go, perfect. I've now got a very expansive budget workbook where I can expand out the various different levels of my business, assigning out lines to each different budget department head, and they can go into here. They can interact with them using formulas, using drivers, using uplift percentages. And the crucial headline piece here is that once the budget exercise is finished inside this dedicated budget tool, we can publish it back to financial statements to then track current versus budget. That is an incredibly fast whip through of 3 modules that, as I mentioned earlier, normally get an hour on their own demonstration, but hopefully a good insight into the power of taking your data from Sage, whether that's 200, X3, Intact, Sage 50, whatever that may be, putting it into Phocas to provide those 4 benefits you mentioned earlier on, give better visibility of your data, remove the need for spreadsheets there at that stage, say goodbye to fixed and static dashboards and bring in dynamic reporting, and crucially give access to the data to all different layers of staff within the business. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to speaking with you all soon.
If you're watching this on demand, I would just want to share with you as well our QR code. You can get in touch with us, contact us at hello@phocussoftware.com, book a demo, use the QR, connect with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk with you about how we can help you with a bit of focus. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.